Hi everyone, so recently on Monday night we had a server restart with a hotfix being applied, and at first we were wondering what it was about, but later we got this post here from community manager Filthy Rich that told us why that happened. And effectively, instead of fixing the freezes or any kind of other problems, we have a change to the mirror image and Firebird's two-piece interaction, which effectively is a nerf to the whole setup. So to anyone who has played Firebirds, I think it's no news that mirror images are extremely squishy and they tend to die extremely fast on pretty much any elite affix and even from melee hits. And the only half consistent way to make them survive is the Enforcer gem that gives them 90% damage reduction but doesn't add anything else to your character. So when you play the Firebirds bed set, you have the two-piece bonus that gives you the meteor that revives you, and that was also applied to your mirror images. And it was actually very good to know when your mirror images are dying, because that will give you an indicator of if the pull is too dangerous for your mirror images. Maybe you have to move on, maybe you have to spread the pull out a little bit or come back with Frost Novas and these kind of things. And now you don't really see them dying anymore. It's very hard to notice the mirror images in a huge pull. If you just look at some gameplay, you can usually barely identify them somewhere in the middle of these pulls here. And at least before, you saw the meteors falling from the sky, and those would also protect them at least once, and then they would maybe attack another time or two, and then it would finally die or time out. So what happens now is that you cast the images and you go into the pull, and yeah, sometimes stuff is frozen and there's no elite affixes, so they're fine, but other times they just die immediately and you don't even know it. Especially on a bit more dangerous pulls when there's like multiple elite packs or lots of trash and lots of dangerous things going on. Even with Enforcer and Frost Nova in some cases, you can't keep your images alive. So they come out and there's like a frozen pulse in the middle and they get instant blasted by that frozen pulse. And there's maybe Poison Enchanted, there's Electrified, there's Mortars. And you can see that it's very difficult for them to eat through this pull. And now I don't think you can really run without Enforcer anymore at all. So at least before, you could do like speed farming setups. Without Enforcer, you could have kind of powerful or Zays and these kind of things. But I believe that Enforcer is pretty much a must-have now. I haven't tried it in like group speed farming yet, and I'm not sure if I will, because my group phase for the season is pretty much over. So I'm mostly just focusing on solo pushes, gearing characters, solo speed farming, low GRs and these kind of things. I haven't really touched the wizard in a while. But 139, as you can see here, is a tier that I have cleared around 1 week into the season or so, without too much trouble. So this was like a 1 or 2 hour push for me. And right now I am a bit stronger than before because my Paragon has increased by like 300 or so. And I also have slightly higher gems. I have pretty much the same stuff still. So overall it should be quite easy for me to do 139 because the records on Wizard right now are 145 or so. But with this brief test here, I can say that this is not happening anytime soon for me to go much higher than this. I was actually preparing for the bigger Firebird push later on. I wanted to see and really push it to the max because my clear was not really the maximum yet. But oh well, maybe I'll just leave it where it is and be done with it. So it's kind of curious to see this mid-season nerf to Firebirds here. We don't really get many of those, and I don't even remember the last time when any of that happened. And I'm not even sure if Blizzard is aware that this is a nerf. So overall, it's not the end of the world for Firebirds. It's probably something like a 1, 2, maybe 3 tier nerf maximum. And considering the strength of Firebirds, that's not really a bad thing. Typically, I'm actually more in favor of mid-season adjustments, but typically we don't really see those in Diablo 3, so this is kind of like a new thing here. Unless something is completely broken, like the Sever in Season 2, or this Frailty exploit with Mark for Death and these kind of things. I don't think we really need those adjustments unless it's to maybe buff something up or to slightly bring something down. But on the other hand, it's also kind of late in the season, because right now we have some 145 clears on rank 1 on the leaderboards or something on Firebirds, and those will be really hard to beat, I believe now. Doing some balance changes or some fixes to like this in like the first or second week of the season is probably totally fine, because even with like a few tiers nerf, those can easily be outgrinded and beaten at some later point in the season. But here it's kind of getting to the point where people don't really farm much besides paragons anymore, on the high end at least. And the mirror images also feel even worse to play with than they did before. The thing with the Firebird's build is that it's extremely powerful because of the mirror images, and you rely on this really crappy AI. And I believe that the Firebird's nerf is coming no matter what anyway. It's extremely strong. It's like by far the top solo XP farming build. Easy to get into wizard builds. It's just extremely consistent, extremely tanky. It doesn't require pretty much anything to work. You just need a set and you blast. And the mirror images do play a big role in that. I think that for the future, after this patch, if they have some other nerfs and buffs planned, Firebird is almost guaranteed getting one. And so is probably Heaven's Fury yet again, and I assume the Bone Spear, and maybe something like Twister. And then also a lot of buffs to all the really bad sets that are really old, clunky, underperforming. And I'm quite excited to see what will happen there with those actually. But for Firebirds, I believe that it would just be the best to remove those mirror images from the setup, just make them not proc the 6Ps anymore. That would be pretty much the appropriate nerf, and it would change the Firebird's playstyle to be more about your own attacks, more about your own activity, and I think that would just make it much more interesting. I'm not sure if people really enjoy playing with those mirror images. Personally, I definitely don't, and I believe that with this AI, the mirror images running away, instead of fixing all that, it is nice to see mirror images being used, but it would probably be a lot of work, and I don't even know if the result would become even better. That's just my 2 cents about what I believe should happen, but overall that's what you have. And just be aware that your mirror images will die even more than before. So enjoy the Firebirds. Hope you like this little video, and I'll see you guys next time.